3 weeks before my show, I came down with shingles. Everybody around me, even my coach at the time, if you know George Farah, he was like, you need to stop. You need to rest. You need to take care of yourself. I didn't. I thought to myself, you know what? No, I got accepted to the Arnold. Who gets accepted to the Arnold? I am not saying no to this.
Yeah.
And no matter how much it hurt, I know how much the pain was, how much I would cry going to the gym, working out, I did it. And I traveled and I competed and I did pretty damn good.
Come on.
And that is when it clicked in my brain. That was it.
Yeah. Wow.
That was when I actually defeated and didn't listen to everybody.
Yeah.
And then all of this life started trickling in right after that.
Come on.
Everything started coming in, right?
Yeah.
The Arete, building the new businesses, the skincare line. I met my boyfriend now. It was just like everything started aligning, and I'm grateful.
Jenn, you're the CEO and founder of the skincare line. You're esthetician, IFBB pro fitness competitor, also coach, mentor, part of Arete Syndicate, all around badass. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I like to go back with my shows. Like, where did you grow up and what was childhood like for you?
Well, actually childhood was, I think that's where I got my strong grounding from.
Gotcha.
My mother was a single mom, in and out of a couple marriages, the same as mine. So I believe that we kind of transition. We do things that we learn as a child because we think that's normal. And as we grow up, we realize that, maybe that's not as normal as what we need to be in our future. Right. And maybe not as healthy. But for me, I'm glad that it happened because I got the strength to kind of be a warrior. And what I mean by that is my mom was strong-willed. She worked her ass off to provide for her kids. And she went through a lot of struggles. And I saw that. And it wasn't struggles to where I blame her for anything. It was struggles, the fact that she was a strong woman and she created another strong woman.
Yeah.
So for me, my childhood, it was a great childhood, but definitely learning lessons.
Sure. Yeah. Always the thing that Ed says and Tony Robbins says, life happens for us, not to us. And I think that's so true. I actually have that on my wall here. So, it's such a great, true statement for sure. And then, so how did you get through, like, who introduced you to the entrepreneurship side of things or pushed you that way? Cause you've now built 3 businesses from the ground up, maybe more, but who pushed you kind of towards that route?
It was funny. As a single mom raising my son, I worked for a skincare clinic.
Okay.
And I worked with her, 6 days a week. And I cleaned houses on the side to provide for my son and to put him in a private school and to do everything that I needed or wanted him to have. So I worked hard. And at age 24, the founder of the company wanted to retire. She actually wanted to move away closer to her son. And she offered me everything.
Wow.
So I worked with her for 4 years, and she was a German lady. So if anybody knows German people, if they own businesses, they are hard asses.
Right.
And so I learned like discipline and structure, and it all came from her. Mm-hmm. And she was a single mom, and so was I. And so it was almost like passing down the torch. And so I got my first SBA loan at age 24, and I purchased the building and the business for $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you're extremely successful now. You kind of like probably through that same process, like you went through some serious depression, you were in massive debt, like you went through a divorce. A lot of people were just giving up on that point, or, even in life and business. But what was it that triggered you to make that change? And then how did you get out of that depression?
That's why I'm so passionate now about it. And I'm glad that Clubhouse is around in a way, even though it takes up like a huge amount of time. But totally. I think it's really beneficial because it's nice. Like I just put a room together the other day called Failures That Lead to Success. And everybody jumped on that room. And it's because people have this perception that, I'm successful. It just happened overnight. Yeah. Well, I went through 2 bad divorces. I went through 2 bad bankruptcies to get where I am now. So people don't understand. It's the concept of watching something that you've built for so long, not knowing maybe what you're doing. Like I knew nothing in business at age 24, right? So I was destined to fail. It was almost like I was given all of this stuff, but I had no knowledge on how to run it properly. And when 2008 hit, my business like dropped significantly, and I wasn't prepared for that. And if I had the education that I do now, I mean, there'd be no way that I would have, settled and, raised my white flag. I would have just kept driving on. Right. But I listened to everybody else, and I listened to them preach to me that it's okay to give up. Right. It's okay to go back to being, the average. When I don't want to say average, if it's your thing to work for somebody, then go for it. But that's not mine.
Yeah.
And so I did that. I mean, I listened to my husband at the time. I watched myself fail to have to rebuild everything that I got at age 24, right?
Wow.
And that's why I'm passionate now to teach people that you need to just keep pushing. When things are hard, you need to just keep pushing. And I gave this explanation at one of the Ryan Stewman events that I talked at. Is 3 weeks before the Arnold Australia, I was going through a divorce. I left my second husband in November, got accepted to Arnold Australia, and had a huge turmoil with family during that point. And 3 weeks before my show, I came down with shingles.
Oh my gosh. And
everybody around me, even my coach at the time, if you know George Farah, he was like, you need to stop. You need to rest. You need to take care of yourself. And I didn't. I thought to myself, you know what? No, I got accepted to the Arnold. Who gets accepted to the Arnold? I am not saying no to this.
Yeah.
And no matter how much it hurt, I know how much the pain was, how much I would cry going to the gym, working out, I did it, and I traveled and I competed and I did pretty damn good.
Come on.
And that is when it clicked in my brain. That was it.
Yeah. Wow.
That was when I actually defeated and didn't listen to everybody.
Yeah.
And then all of this life started trickling in right after that.
Come on.
Everything started coming in, right?
Yeah.
The Arete, building the new businesses, the skincare line. I met my boyfriend now. It was just like everything started aligning, and I'm grateful, very grateful.
So good. So good. I have this thing where, like, for me, like, I'm like, I had to be a quitter. I had to quit listening to the negative people. I had to quit, hanging around those people that are drama filled. I had to quit being a quitter, man, and just stick to things. And that's so good that you got to where you're at. And you see that trigger happen. And now, I mean, obviously kicking butt. The skincare lines you have, it's for both men and women, including a beard care line, which I saw on your website, which is really rad. But you launched this brand. And then the cool thing about it is it's all formulated and produced here in the US, which is awesome. Why did you decide to keep everything in the US versus kind of like, buying overseas, where a lot of these brands are, getting the cheap stuff, right? And I think your stuff just looks amazing.
Yeah. Cheap as crap.
Yeah.
And I'm all about your body, and I'm all about taking care of yourself. And it's the same thing, we eat, we have nutrition, we do things to better ourselves. And that's the same thing with what we put on our skin. Our skin is the second largest organ. And our first organ, you hear that the skin is the first organ, right? But a lot of times people don't understand it's the second. The first organ is actually our muscle. And the second is our skin. And so whatever you put on your skin, it will absorb it. So it doesn't matter where you're getting those ingredients from, what you're doing, your skin will absorb a certain amount of that. And if it's toxic, it's not good for your body. And that is the one thing. So my products are definitely a little bit more expensive, but I also have created a brand and the ingredients that you don't need that much product. And that's why I started my podcast at first called WTF is Beauty Anyway.
Yeah.
Is because media, everything else tells you all this stuff that you have to do. And honestly, you only need to do a couple steps in order to have good skin. If you do too much to your skin, you actually start the aging process. And that's what people don't understand.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same thing. So I bought a brand new beard soap like 3 weeks ago. I've been using their beard balm, this company called Ruzel, for a long time,
Uh-huh.
many years. Right. And then they released this beard soap. I was like, a beard wash. And I was like, I'll try it out. And man, I took it like, I think 2 days in a row, and my face blew up, like allergic reaction, crazy. I've never had allergic reactions to anything, but my eyes swelled up. I had to go down to the dermatologist, go, what is going on? It was
Oh,
just
geez,
wild.
Louise.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, I
Yeah.
could not touch that stuff, you know?
Yeah. So, and then also, formulating the products here, I
Yeah.
like it because I get more, I get to speak more with them and talk to them exactly about what I want in the formulation.
Yeah.
And so I've actually used these two companies that I've worked with for, gosh, I've been in skincare for 21 years, and I've probably used them for about a good 18 years.
Okay.
And then so I just finally broke down and started branching my own line with it.
Okay.
Actually, what kicked it off was the Arete is
Oh,
what kicked it
nice.
off.
Yeah.
So yeah, the men in the Arete, because
Yeah.
everybody kept asking me skin questions. I thought to myself, well, Jen, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
create a men's line.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. Like
Okay.
after the first syndicate, I came home and just started doing it.
Yeah. Cause you've been in Arete Syndicate really since the beginning, right? You were part of the initial group.
I wasn't in the first group. I was in
Okay.
the second group. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
I
even
was in the
being part of
second.
that is huge.
Yeah.
You know, so many good people in that brand. And I've had several guys on my show and from Arete, and they just say like how much their business has grown just being part of that. How has that helped you? And I mean, obviously helped you launch this brand, but what is the support that you get from those guys in Arete?
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing people. When I first joined the Arete, I always tell this story. And I was on a boat going to Ed Mylett's house.
Yeah.
And everybody was dressed for their tea, right? It was the first time that everybody met each other. And I hear everybody say, oh, well, I own this and I have this. And, they're talking up. And I gravitated to this one lady, and I looked at her, and she could tell that I was kind of like, okay, this isn't my jam. I'm not this type of person. Right.
Yeah.
And so they asked me what I did. Well, I do a lot. So she looked at me and she pulled me aside and she said, this is what you tell them. And she gave me like a brief description on what to say.
Okay.
And so I said that. But after that night going home, I thought to myself, I don't belong here. These aren't my people. And our first syndicate, we had Dr. and I butcher his name, Despinosa. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yes. Thank you.
I forget his last name, but yeah.
He came in and spoke.
Yeah.
It was the best speech ever. Everybody's guard dropped down after that. We all went to lunch, and it was almost like all the real people were out, and everybody owned their shit. Everybody just leveled up and helped each other. And by the end of that syndicate, I thought to myself, this is my family.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. And so I almost feel like that's what we started. That was our tribe. And that's what we kept building, is that mindset of helping other people, and nobody's better than anybody else. We're all here to help you.
Come on. Oh, that's so good. So good. I wanted to jump back over to your podcast real quick. It's called WTF is Beauty Anyways. This is a great show, by the way. You just dropped so much awesome knowledge on there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Why did you decide to start that thing? And for those who don't know, what's your show about?
It was really funny. So I was thinking about doing a podcast on skincare because there wasn't really anything out there yet. And Emily Frizilla is one of my friends. And so I messaged her and I was like, I need a name for this. What do you think? And so we're going back and forth. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, what the fuck is beauty? Like, what do you do? And then it just clicked. I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
And then she started dying laughing. She was like, yes, that is the name. And so the reason why I created that is to teach people the fact of what in beauty, nutrition, and that's where it dialed into. And to give people the lowdown of it, because so many people give you BS of what you should be doing. And I'm here to tell you, like, I'm actually in the process of writing my first book about that. And I'm in the process of actually doing a program to help mentor people to boot their metabolism, because everybody says, eat this, do this. And a lot of times it's more than that. It's your metabolism. It's what's going on, in your life, all of it.
Totally.
And so anyway, that's how it started. And then as I started coaching and mentoring, people started asking me business questions and social media questions. And I thought, well, you know what? This is my podcast. I can do whatever I want. So now I just start throwing in that kind of knowledge on top of it. So
Gotcha. And I mean, one of the latest episodes you were kind of talking about this Clubhouse app, which I love. It's helped me to connect
it's
with
really
you.
good for you guys. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's just amazing. Like, I mean, what are your thoughts on Clubhouse and how's it helped your business? Where do you think it's going?
Actually, I really, really like it. And it depends on the room that you get in.
It's true.
So it does. I've there is a couple of rooms that I just thought, you know what, stop selling yourself to people, you guys. Just be human and be humble to people.
Yep.
And then there's other rooms that you get on, and it's just like so much knowledge.
Yes.
And I was on a room today, and actually one of my mentors, Nick Peterson, which I adore, he linked me up to this doctor that he was talking, and his doctor actually trains like Olympian athletes and things like that. And so it linked us up, and we're actually going to do a Zoom call together. And I thought, how badass is this? Because now I get to pick somebody's brain to help me even more with my book that I'm creating.
Yeah.
And so Clubhouse is a great thing because it gets you on that level with people that you normally can't talk to.
Yep.
Totally. Or you don't even know about.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It just since I joined right before Christmas and really took it kind of more serious, probably in the last week and a half or so ago. But, I now have a podcast set up with Dan Caldwell, the founder of Tap Out, which for me,
yes.
I own a MMA podcast. So, me and him were in the same room together. We were both talking from the stage, and I was like, dude, we got to hook up. And he's like, yeah, man, let's do it. And I mean, just like mind blowing, like, what? I'm talking to the guy from Tap Out. It's kind of nuts, man.
I think it's awesome for you guys. Like even Zach, I don't know if you follow Zach he's in the Apex Executives, which is like a Break Free Academy. But he had Andy Frisilla on his podcast, and I think he got in a couple other people on his podcast from Clubhouse. Yeah. So I think that 2021 is going to be a really good year for actually everybody to start connecting on that higher level. I do think that.
Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be a huge year. We've got some good stuff going on. I'm actually working with Zach Babcock and Mike Young directly. Good. Yeah. Okay, so good. Those guys are helping me get this podcast launched up. And between my two shows, I've done almost 300 episodes over the last few years. And so, yeah, just continue to rock, and we'll release 100 episodes this year between my two shows. And then my plan is to guest on 100 podcast as well through this year. So nice. Yeah, we'll push. So far, I've already booked for 27 shows this month, which is pretty nuts. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
Wow. Do you sleep?
It's funny. I always say that I have this thing that my desire to be successful is bigger than my desire to sleep. So I get up at 4 a.m. 6 days a week. And I get on and I work up my podcast, and I'll reach out to guests and do some editing, and then actually still work a full 9 to 5. So I flip over to this computer and I work till 5 o'clock, and then I do it again. Sundays I don't set an alarm, but I usually wake up by about 5, and then that's how we're doing. Hopefully,
good for you.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts, but hopefully by the end of this year we'll be able to take that full-time leap into podcasting and speaking and things like that. So
good for you.
Yeah. I just have two fun questions to kind of end the show with. I'm a huge music guy, so I love to ask this question. What's a favorite type of music for you? Do you have a favorite band that you like to listen to?
So, you're going to die. I'm such a Social D girl.
Okay. Come on. That's awesome. Yeah.
So I was into punk rock when I was young. I mean, that's just my jam. So, Ramones, Social D, that's who I am.
Love it. Last question for you is, what's your greatest fear?
Losing it all again.
Yeah. But you know how to get back up.
I do.
But it sucks to get down there.
It sucks to get down there again. Yeah.
Absolutely. I was 18 in jail, 21, filed bankruptcy the first time for me too. I was $28,000 in debt at that time. And Yeah. So we've gotten back up sober, debt free now. But yeah, I've been to the bottom for sure.
Yeah, I know.
But,
It, I don't know, it sucks, but it makes you who you are now, right? It makes
yeah.
you appreciate everything that you have, and then it makes you want to help other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
Jen, you are an absolute world changer. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thanks
This
for
is such an
having me.
honor. Thank you so much for watching the show today. I appreciate it. If you could, please leave a rating and review on our Apple podcast. The link is down below. That helps us get our message out, get the show out, helps us get ranked out there on the Apple podcast. Also, leave a comment below, man. I'd love to know what part of this show made the most impact on you. I respond to every comment on there. And please share this video, whether you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Please share it out. We want to make sure that we impact as many people as we can with the guests that come on my show and highlight those guests and what they've got going on, and they're changing the world. So thank you so much for the time. So appreciate it. Have an awesome day.